and welcome to the Literary Hype Podcast. I am Stephanie, your literary hype woman, and today's author conversation makes me so happy. I have wanted to get this author on the show for a very long time, since it started, long time. I absolutely love her books, her world building, her descriptions. They're just so beautiful. I love them so much. But now Marie Lu is stepping out of the YA genre a little bit, and we've got an adult debut from her. This is called Red City, which is pitched as Godfather meets The Magicians in a world of alchemy. So lots to talk about in this. The magic, the relationships, we're talking about it all from San Diego Comic-Con. Well, welcome to Literary Hype. It's so exciting to have you on. I've been wanting to talk to you about your books for so long.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So first, I want to talk a little bit about the Steelstriker duology, because that was my introduction to you. And
oh, good.
The world building and the descriptions in that book are so incredible.
Thank you.
So talk a little bit about your process and how you create these worlds, because that does carry over into your new book, Red City.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you read the Skyhunter series. That makes me so happy. I think it's a little bit different with each series, how the world building happens. I think with Skyhunter in particular, I was reading this nonfiction book about what the world would be like 5,000 years from now. So it was such a long period of time that it got me thinking about what relics from our world today would stick around. So that was the inspiration for that series. And then Red City is obviously set in today, in modern day, but with alchemy. And that was inspired a little bit here and there by all kinds of things, by The Godfather, by alchemy, magic in general, like Full Metal Alchemist, is one of my favorite animes. And just wanting to tell a story that's set in the here and now. So it depends on the series, yeah.
So with Red City, what do people need to know about this book before they go pick it up?
So Red City is my adult debut, and it is The Godfather with alchemy magic. It's set in an alternate version of LA called Angel City, where alchemy is real, and it's being controlled by these very powerful magic mafias, these syndicates. And it's a love story. It follows these two young alchemists named Sam and Ari, who are childhood best friends, and then unwittingly, of course, get recruited into rival alchemy mafias, and then find themselves on opposite sides of this magical war. So that's kind of the basic gist of it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Chaos ensues.
Them being on rival sides kind of also gives it a little Romeo and Juliet vibes, especially
Definitely.
in the childhood friends, lovers. That's I would say, decently popular trope.
One of my favorite tropes, for sure.
It's a pretty solid trope.
It's like an extension of enemies to lovers. Friends to enemies to lovers, yeah.
Yeah. So if magic were real in this world, what would you want it to look like?
Ooh, in our world.
Since this is so close to reality, but with magic.
Right. I mean, I think alchemy would be pretty cool to have in reality. In the book, you're able to turn, there's different classifications of alchemists. So you can be an elementalist, so you kind of specialize in the elements, or you can be a bioalchemist, which is basically you can touch someone's shoulder, you can change the chemistry of their body, which changes how they feel in certain moments and what they're thinking. I think that would be cool and kind of scary to have, but Is
there a particular version of the alchemy that's in your book that you would want to be able to do?
I think it would be pretty cool to be an elementalist, just from some of the visual scenes were really fun to play with. So there's a moment where one of the alchemists just steps in the beach and the whole coast just freezes. It's not very practical, but I think it would be cool to see.
I mean, it would be definitely cool to see, especially for California, because it's so hot.
Right?
Just be
I know.
We need a break.
That's true. That's true. Actually, some of them could probably make AC, going with you as you walk, and I could probably use that.
So nice in California because it's hot. It's a little hot out here.
It's a little bit hot.
Also, at the beginning of the book, you have so many descriptions about food. It made me so hungry. And then standing here, we can smell pizza, and so it's just making me hungry all over again. So talk a little bit about writing about food and where that love comes from you.
Of course. I love food. I have also been kind of enticed by random food smells here. I think I can't help letting it squeeze into all of my writing because I think it's a fundamental part of world building as well, is talking about food, how people consume it, what kind of society you're in. In this case, it's the real world, but Sam as a character, a lot of her upbringing is surrounding what her mother is capable of doing with food. Her mother's a great cook. They don't have a lot of money, so her mother is very inventive with how she changes like leftovers into like a new amazing dish. And so for her, that's a huge part of her childhood memories, and it was a huge part of my childhood memories. Like that's very much based on, you know, me growing up, child to immigrants, and my mom coming up with all these very inventive ways of like, you know, here are like the 5 things that we have left over, and we can make it into a fried rice, or we can make them into dumplings or whatever. And it always seemed a little bit like magic of its own.
That's true. Cooking is its alchemy of itself.
It really is, yeah. Changing something into something more desirable, yeah.
Yeah. But you just touched on her relationship with her mother, which is especially like
it's fraught.
So talk about her relationship with her mom.
Yes,
and crafting that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was probably the most complex relationship I had to write in that series. And you know, Sam and her mother are not quite me and my mother, but I wanted to portray the immigrant experience as authentically as I could. And I think that I wanted to show this idea of how we all are trying our best as parents and as children, but life has a tendency to get in the way of that. And I think that, you know, now I'm a parent, and I think all the time about this, like the intersection of like, how do you make a good life for them, but also be there for them? And that conflicts for a lot of people, more so if you don't have the funds, if you don't have the means to be able to be there for your kids all the time. So it's like you're working to try to support them, but in doing so, you're not there for them. And so that push and pull is very much a part of Sam and her mother's relationship. And I wanted to show Sam's side of that, but also her mother's side of that, so that we get a couple of chapters in the book, which is also from Sam's mother's point of view. That's very new for me, since I'm used to the YA world, and this is the first time I'm writing from like the point of view of a parent, and she's talking about what it's like. So you see all the mistakes that she makes with Sam, and you know, things that she regrets, but she's trying, you know. So it was a difficult relationship to write, yeah, but they're very close to my heart.
And on the flip side of that is her relationship with Ari.
Yes.
So having that, we used to be really close, but now there's a lot of stuff between us that makes it very hard to be close. So talk a little bit about that particular relationship in the story.
Yes, of course. Yeah, they have some bad blood now.
Just a little.
Bad blood. Yeah.
Don't come for me, Taylor Swift. I didn't mean it.
Sorry. Yeah, I think so Ari was inspired by this kid whose name I can't even remember. I was like I moved around a lot in elementary school, and there was a school that I only stayed in for like a few months, and so I didn't know anybody and didn't have any friends in there, and then I left. And so there was this one boy who sat next to me. We weren't friends, but he was very friendly. Like, he was just a nice kid, and like, you know, he would pass you a pen if you needed one, or you know, if you missed the notes, he would just kind of like slide. Like, he was just like a nice kid. And for someone who didn't know anyone in the school, I just had this like memory of being grateful for that kid. For, you know, we never really hung out or anything. I don't even know his name. I don't think I've even asked for it. And then I left, and so I have no idea who he was. But you know, that feeling of somebody who's you can just kind of cling to for a second, you know, stayed with me, and then inspired like the origins for Ari and Sam, and how they are just two kids who are lonely in this new world, and they find each other and become friends, and then get torn apart horribly. And that was kind of like a rumination too on like friendship and what power can do to that, and what can love withstand, you know, power and ambition and all of that. So yeah.
So you mentioned that this is your adult debut.
Yes.
What was it about this story that made you want to write it as an adult story instead of continuing on as a YA author that is very well known for your YA books?
Thank you. I think this story's been stewing in my head for a long time, but I always knew that it wasn't going to be YA, because some of the themes that I wanted to bring to the forefront, I didn't feel particularly comfortable telling it in YA. And I also think that YA is so good at telling the immediate story, you know, like everything is happening in that moment, right? So it's like, this is happening right now, this is how I'm feeling right now, and you don't have the context of like a history of a life or like a wider lens necessarily. And so I knew that this story wasn't that kind of, didn't need that kind of immediacy, but it did need this timeline to show the ramifications of a consequence, like all the way through a life, and how long it can take for something to percolate, through your life, through someone else's life, and so on. So I always knew it was going to be adult. It took me a long time to figure out what that really meant. Yeah.
And I saw a post on Instagram, which was one of your sketches, which love your sketches. Oh my goodness, wish I had that much ability. Oh my goodness. But you called Sam a yearner.
Yes.
So how does that influence this story?
Yes, it influences everything about the story. The whole metaphor of alchemy being this eternal striving for perfection, this relentless pursuit of ambition. And Sam, is this girl who's grown up her whole life being unseen. She's that girl you see at the party and then nobody really talks to her and they don't remember that she was there. She just has, nobody notices her as she's growing up, and she's like she's an only child of an immigrant mother, and no one has time for her. And so she has this eternal, deep yearning for someone to see her, to be seen, to make a mark, to know that she's worth something. And it leads her down all kinds of terrible paths because she's just looking for love anywhere she can find it, usually finds it in the worst places. So
but then
it's very
is it
much
even real
her.
love if it's in the
Right.
worst places?
I know.
Questions we all
Questions.
But with the sketches, how does drawing help you with your creativity in the writing process?
That's such a great question. I feel like drawing is another creative media that I can use, which also gives my writing brain a rest. So sometimes when I'm just like, I cannot write anymore today, I will kind of pivot and just start sketching because I still get to be creative. I'm still in my books world, but I can kind of turn off the this, which after a while it does start to feel numb. So that helps my creative process, and sometimes I will figure out like plot things or character things that way.
One thing we have in common is a love for K-pop. How does music help with your writing process?
I love that. Yes, I always have music on, always when I'm writing. Like, it is never quiet in my head. It's usually soundtracks or something, because if I have like actual lyrics on, it does start to distract me and I can't really draft or anything. You mentioned K-pop. I've got the entire K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack just playing on repeat, as do everyone.
The number of booths playing K-pop Demon Hunter soundtracks around here is insane. It is everywhere.
I love it. So I had to find like instrumental versions of them so that I can, still write, but hear the song.
I'm going to need that now.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
So you do have a book series, a duology, that involves a sea musician.
Yes.
Stars and Smoke.
Yes.
Are there any chances we'll get a third one in that series?
Oh, Stars and Smoke. I would love to write more in Stars and Smoke. I had so much fun with that series. Right now, I don't have plans for a third book, but never say never. I will return to that world in a heartbeat if I get a chance.
I mean, it's very Jackson Wang coded, and I love it.
I'm glad to hear it.
I'm just like, the way he talks, I'm like, this is if Jackson Wang got pulled into being a secret spy.
Was it like a spy? Which
but he would be terrible at, because he talks about everybody.
Right. No, he would be a terrible spy, yeah.
But nobody would suspect him because he does blab
true.
about everything.
Maybe that's his front. Maybe he pretends to blab about everything.
Maybe that's why he holds all these parties and is hanging out with everybody. He's just really working it.
He's good at it then. He's either really good or really bad.
Jackson, let us know.
Yes. Blink twice if you're a spy.
And in looking you up, because I like to look up people, found that you were a video game designer back in the day for Disney.
Yeah.
How has that helped how you tell stories?
It was really fascinating. I was a graphic designer for it and an artist, and I got recruited to be an intern at Disney, which is actually where I went. My husband, we were both interns in the same program, and it was a think tank where all you did was come up with video game ideas. So I was brought on as an artist, and there were a couple of game designers in the group and programmers, and we would just prototype games for Disney, and it was like the best corporate job I've ever had. And I think it was my exposure to, it was my first exposure to a creative industry of any kind. So before that, I don't think I really understood that, you can actually have a career in these things. And this was a perfectly professional, acceptable, profession and industry. And And I think I needed that to have confidence to become a professional writer. So in that sense, it absolutely led me to becoming a writer. And it also was just really nice to collaborate with people and watch how story is told in a game sense, which is a completely different way of telling stories as novels. But at the end of the day, I think the written word is kind of like the birthplace of all kinds of stories. So you fashion tells stories, movies tell stories, games tell stories, but it all comes to, I think, like the novel is probably the purest form of story, and I think seeing it in other forms really helps me appreciate how to put together a novel form.
So what's next for you in the novel world?
What's next? So I am currently working on the draft for book 2, and I am also working on another YA series, which I cannot talk about yet, but I can't wait to share more about it with you guys.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Thanks.
Love it so much already, just because it's you.
Thank you.
The last question we always ask, because this is Literary Hype, what books are you hyped about right now?
Oh my gosh, so many. Now I'm like going through them in my head. Tahira Mafi is one of my favorite writers and people in the world. I love that Watch Me has started off the Shatter Me series again. All of her books are amazing though, and she has the next book in her This Woven Kingdom series coming out in the fall, so I am really excited about that. Ransom Riggs has the next one in his The Extraordinary Disappointments of Leopold Berry, Part 2 coming out, Sunderworld, which I can't wait for. Sabaa Tahir's Air series. You know, if you haven't read An Ember in the Ashes, one of the best YA fantasies of all time. We could talk for like hours about,
honestly,
you know.
It's I either get two responses to that question. Either, have I ever read a book? I can't think. Or, I'm going to talk for 10 hours and we're just going to vibe.
There's no in between.
There is no in between. You either can think of every book you've ever read or none of them.
It's true.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk to Literary Hype here at San Diego Comic-Con.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks again to Marie for hanging out with me at San Diego Comic-Con to talk about her debut adult novel, Red City. If you want to get your hands on this, which I know you do because Marie is fantastic and you definitely want to check this one out, the links to do so are down in the description, as well as where to find her on social media. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Literary Hype YouTube channel, and click that little bell so you get notifications whenever I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.